What is the strangest thing you've seen that you cannot explain? I was dating a girl eons ago. And she left my house one night after hanging out to go home. She called my house about 10 minutes later BC. She'd curbed her car trying to not hit a dog that looked like a ghost. I was annoyed. Thought she was full of it. Helped her unlock her steering wheel and she was on her way. Years later, I was riding with a completely separate / unrelated girlfriend and I was looking down at some CDs in my lap to try and figure out what to play next. Out of the blue she yells "beep." And then she locks the brakes up and we slide to a stop. I asked, "WTF are you doing?" And she responded, "Did you not see that dog run right in front of us? It looked like a ghost wolf." I looked around and sure enough we're right around the same spot where my previous girlfriend had also seen this ghost canine / wolf thing. Which freaked me out once that clicked. So while I technically never saw it myself, the inexplicable, ethereal canine freaked out two different GFs of mine. And none of us have a clue as to what it actually was. Not exactly seen, but it's strange. I was around 6 and on Wednesday evening I went to bed. I woke up and it was Friday. I remember asking my mom why is it Friday when yesterday it was Wednesday. She said yesterday was Thursday. Obviously. I asked her what I did on Thursday because the last thing I remember is going to sleep on Wednesday. She named some activities and I remembered none of that. I never found out why I don't remember the Thursday. This happened to my friend a couple of weeks ago. Hers were caused by medication that she sometimes took. But this time she completely blacked out and woke up days later. During that time she apparently woke up, did chores around the house and talked to people, but she only remembers going to sleep and then waking up 2 days later. It was super weird. Not only that a medicine she took before had this affect, but it also never happened again. Living in a dorm. No roommate. Night before 2-hour open book final. I put my book in the middle of the floor so I'll stumble over it on the way out. The floor has nothing else on it. In the morning it's gone. I look all over the room. Can't find it. I think I'm hysterically blind. So I feel over every inch of the floor with my hands. Nothing. I go get a cup of coffee and come back. Still nothing. By now there's only 1 hour for the test. I go anyway and do the best I can. Naturally when I get back the book is in the middle of the floor exactly where I put it. Probably a prank. But how? I'm not that heavy a sleeper. Nobody took credit for it. Something so similar happened to me too. I lost an important piece of paper right after bringing it home. Looked everywhere. After 2 weeks I decided I'd call the company and have a copy sent. I walked into the kitchen the day I planned to call and pulled a lunch container out of the fridge. I went into the living room to grab my phone and came back to the kitchen to microwave my lunch. The missing paper was sitting on top of my lunch container. Writing this out is giving me serious creeps all over again. I'm all shaky. We lost a cookie sheet a couple years ago. I mean, it was gone. 4 months. Then, one day, it turned up leaning between the kitchen sink and the wall. Like, chest height at the most visited place in the house. My youngest daughter would always beg to buy the seasonal decorations when we'd go shopping. She passed away from a brain tumor when she was 5. And as a way to cope I started buying those seasonal decorations and now decorate my house with them as the seasons and holidays change. Her favorite were these colorful birds from Target. A couple of years ago just before Easter I was deep cleaning the house. One of the Easter birds went missing. I assumed one of my older kids had knocked it off the shelf with their backpack as they had left for school that morning. I looked around where it should have fallen, but couldn't find it. We had a younger dog who loved to chew up everything he could find. I checked all his usual hiding spots, but couldn't find it. I continued to clean the house. Vacuum. Dust. Full top to bottom cleaning of the common areas of the house since I was home alone for the day. Finally I'm done and still haven't found that bird. I've found a lot of missing socks, Legos, and other crap. I grab my cleaning stuff and say out loud, "Daughter, it's okay if you're playing with it. But will you let me know somehow so that I know the dog didn't destroy it?" I walk out of the living room and put the cleaning stuff away under the kitchen sink. I come back into the living room and there that bird is. It is standing on its feet in the center on the living room floor. These birds have pipe cleaner-like feet, so they were difficult to get to stand right. And it is standing on its feet. I got a chill. I picked it up and looked it over. There weren't anything teeth marks or slobber, so it hadn't been in the dog's mouth. I just said, "Thanks, daughter. You're welcome to play with it whenever you want," and put it back on the shelf. I have no way to explain it other than the paranormal. Me and a buddy were at his house watching TV and some person on the screen was eating a strawberry. I don't really care for them, but it looked good and I asked if, by chance, he had any strawberries in the house. He almost laughed at me. We were two 20-year-olds with a higher chance of beer or mac and cheese or Fruit Loops than strawberries. About 20 minutes later, there's a knock at the door and he goes to answer it. He yells out to me to come see something. His mom is standing at the door with one of those low-cut boxes with a bunch of strawberries. He said, "Tell AG and Kim what you said." She looks a little strange and says, "I was driving home and there was a guy selling strawberries out of the back of his truck and I thought, I bet David and his friends would like some strawberries." My buddy says, "Well, you blew it. We all have one wish and you wasted yours on strawberries." I saw a beer bottle dropped from a 13th floor window into bricks and it bounced. Glass bottles are strong AF. Don't peep with them undefined. Except for when they fall like 2 feet. Then they shatter into the smallest, most annoying pieces of glass to clean up, that you still find 2 weeks after it fell. Many years ago I worked in a grocery store. I was coming out of the break room one day and happened to look off to my side just in time to witness an entire display of champagne bottles get knocked over. There had to have been at least 20 bottles that all exploded simultaneously. Almost everything in about a 25-foot radius was covered in champagne and we were still finding pieces of glass months later. Years ago, when my wife was pregnant with our second child and about to give birth, my mom came to stay with us for a few days to help take care of our oldest child. One early evening Mom asked for a pen, paper and an envelope. When I gave them to her, she wrote on the paper, sealed it in the envelope and gave it to me, saying, "Put this in your pocket and don't open it. You'll know when," she said. 30 minutes later my wife announced it was time to go to the hospital. She was in labor. So we did, and about 9 hours later our second daughter was born at 3:45 a.m. She weighed 8 pounds, 11 ounces and was 20 inches long. This being pre-cell phone days. I called my mom from the hospital to tell her the news. She answered the phone and immediately said, "Before you say anything, open the envelope." I did. It said, "Girl, 3:45 a.m. 8 pounds, 11 ounces, 20 inches. I kept that paper for years. When my mom died, I went to our documents safe where we kept it, but it was gone. I'm sorry to say, but your mum was a witch, LMAO. Probably the second daughter is too. That's what she was waiting for. Grandma swapped souls with her." So in 2013, I was smoking a cig with my buddy and his schizophrenic neighbor in Denton, Texas. This neighbor was the nice kind of off, never acting mean or violent. So we were actually pretty good friends. Anyway, during the middle of the cig, the neighbor acts like he just got hit with an energy wave, and runs out into the yard. He begins to start rhythmically dancing and chanting about the meteor. What I could understand was that he felt the meteor, and he said that he felt it falling. And then with a final jerk, he said the meteor had exploded. At that same time, on the other side of the world, an enormous meteor exploded over Russia. If you are wondering, no, there was no advanced warning. And yes, part of me does suspect that he somehow knew.